from hillbilly crime. You can't hide from hillbilly crime. You can't hide from hillbilly crime. You can't hide from hillbilly crime. May not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dog passed away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
It reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask the cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spilled on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound. Reveals the hidden lie. Moonlight could mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the channel. If you've not been here before, my name is Elizabeth. I am your friendly hillbilly host, and this is Hillbilly Crime. Zelmy's going to be joining us here in just a minute. Already got a whole bunch here this evening. If you don't care, hit that like button for us before we even get started. Miss Lynette Eads, put some DNA on that button for us. It helps us a whole lot. More than you know. All right. Stacy, hello. Yeah, we have been watching the Rose Petal trial, and they had a verdict today. He was found guilty. So that was interesting. And tonight I got my hands on the indictment. Thank you, LS. Bless you, bless you, bless you. I got my hands on the indictment of Benfield when he got indicted. And I pulled up some of the public records information that we got from the Kentucky Attorney General's office. And so let me pull that up here. Okay. The indictment, there's not really anything in it that we didn't already know. But there were a couple things that I found kind of interesting. There's Sweet Tater. How's you doing, Mommy?
Oh, I'm doing great.
All right. How was your day? Do you have any interesting things happen today?
Well, no, not really.
No.
Well, no, I
We had a whole lot of snow.
and I took care of all my animals and my birds. I fed my birds. You know, just
Just the normal wear and tear of life. I got
yes, that's for sure.
So we are looking. I got my hands on Ben Fields' indictment. So this was the indictment when he got in trouble. And it's Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Ben Fields. And then there's these charges. And what I was going to look at was what the difference was between what he was charged with and what he pled guilty to. Because a lot of times when people sign a plea bargain, they end up dismissing charges. You know, they take a plea, which usually will give them a lighter sentence, and they kind of negotiate, you know, what charges they're going to keep and what charges they're going to, throw away. Mm-hmm. Now, I thought I wanted to see this because I didn't think that it looked like they did much negotiating. It looked to me like he pretty much pled guilty to what he was charged with, which really makes you kind of question, did Ben bend the knee? You know, was Ben told, and we're just speculating here, of course. Could Ben have been told to plead guilty to this? Go ahead, confess, plead guilty, and that way the investigation went away, so they didn't investigate anybody else? Because there were accusations of higher ups and other people being involved in this. And as we looked at the deposition and we read through all of the depositions, Sabrina's, Mickey's, Ben's, there was another deputy in there that was mentioned several times. There were several other women that were mentioned. One of my sources said that at one time there were 14 other women that were named as, and I'm not really sure what to even finish that sentence with. Because as we see, what did Ben get? What was the cost of coming forward to bring this out? He got 6 months in jail, was all he got. Okay, anyway, let's look at it. So the first charge was R word in the 3rd degree. 2 counts. Class D felony, 1 through 5 years in prison, a fine. The second charge was S, 3rd degree, 2 counts. Sorry, my dogs always go crazy as soon as I start a show. Class D felony, 1 through 5 years in prison. The third charge, tampering with a prisoner's monitoring device, 3 counts. Class D felony, 1 through 5 years in prison. And then the fourth charge, perjury, 2nd degree, 1 count, Class A misdemeanor, up to 12 months in jail. And then they all had fines associated with them. So count 1, the R word, 3rd degree, that on or about July 2021 through January of 22, Letcher County, Kentucky, the above named defendant, Ben Fields, committed the offense of R in the 3rd degree when, as a deputy sheriff and or employee of a company under contract regarding the Letcher County Jail. He subjected a person, number one, whom he knew was in custody and or on home incarceration to sexual stuff. So do you all notice something there? What does that say? Read that. When as a deputy sheriff and or employee of a company under contract regarding the Letcher County Jail. How come the jail wasn't included in that civil lawsuit? I'm no lawyer, remember. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I wonder why I just wonder why the jail wasn't mentioned. All right, count 2. That on or about August 2021 through December 2021. See, this is number 2. So this is for the second female. Remember, we had Jennifer Hill and we had Sabrina Adkins. Sabrina is still here. She's the one that's still fighting this civil suits. Jennifer Hill passed away. They say through an OD of some kind. So whenever this went to or was going to trial, which he ended up pleading, but they ended up having to drop it for Jennifer because she was no longer here. She couldn't be a complaining party. Okay. Ben Fields committed the offense of R in the 3rd degree when as a deputy sheriff and or employee of a company under contract regarding the Letcher County Jail, he subjected a person, number 2, whom he knew was in custody and or on home incarceration to sexual or smexual stuff. We've got count 3, the S. Let me look at the dates of those again. So the first one was July 21 to January of 22. And then this one was August of 21 through December of 21. All right. So it was about the same time period. That on or about July through January. So this would be, it says the same thing. Committed the offense of S in the 3rd degree. But it says number 1. So that would be for, I'm guessing Sabrina or one of them. And then count 4, S in the 3rd degree, that says number 2. So that would be on the other one. So there was 1 count of each for each female. So once they got, so that means that once they got rid, or once they dropped Jennifer's, they didn't negotiate nothing else, you guys. He pled guilty to every single thing that they charged him with. So that bears the question, what were they doing in all of those conferences, settlement conferences and stuff like that they were having? It just makes me wonder. I guess the only thing that they had to negotiate was his sentence. That's the only thing it looks to me like they were negotiating, was his sentence, because he pled guilty to every count and charge that the original indictment came down on. If any of you are from this area, you are probably familiar with the Patrick Little case. Patrick Little is a prominent businessman around here, and he was indicted on 44 counts of similar charges, but he wasn't an official or anything like that. He was just a prominent businessman who happened to be Judge Kevin Mullins' college roommate. So it really shows kind of a pattern. And a bigger culture. Mom, what do you think about the culture of what it seems like sexual abuse here in the mountains? It seems like it's a very big problem.
Well, I think people don't take it as serious as the rest of us. I think it's pretty well accepted that we blame the women and we blame the victim in anything that has to do with sexual kinds of things. Even in terms of children, they try to say, like the girl that went down there to the fire station and that man said naughty stuff or did naughty stuff or whatever he did. And nobody raised much of an eyebrow to that because, it'd be like, well, she shouldn't have been there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's kind of a, women, I just think that's the way that it is.
Well, one of the things that I've always heard about that inner circle down in Whitesburg is that there's a lot of swinging that goes on down in there. I've heard from people who used to, and most of this was many years ago. I think now a lot of these people are older and they probably settled down a whole lot. I think that there was a lot more that was going on 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But I think that a lot of times people end up having affairs and stepping out of their marriage and stuff like that. I think that happens a whole lot in the workplace. And so down there, if people are married to other people, but they're working a whole lot, if you're working 12 hours a day with a female, if you're a man and you're working at the jail and you meet some woman down there working at the jail, and then the next thing you know, they're upstairs in the first floor bathroom.
I just think that's the funniest thing ever.
Well, I heard that they met at the jail and that his wife was actually married to somebody else. But they got to fooling around, allegedly got to fooling around down there at the jail, and they ended up together.
Who?
Ben and his wife.
Oh, he hadn't been married to her for a long time?
Yeah, they have been married for a long time, but a little birdie said that she had been married, allegedly was married to somebody else when she first started working there.
Oh, and so Ben's her second husband?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't confirmed that, but somebody had said that they were with other people when they started working there. And then, the way that things happen, they ended up in the bathroom upstairs.
Oh, not very romantic, is it?
No. But I think that happens a whole lot. People, for some reason, if you're not happy at home or whatever, and you end up getting close to somebody that you work with, I'd say it's pretty easy to have some problems there. But doesn't that just kind of, and I'm not condoning it by any means, but
they're two consenting adults. Only if one is a superior position over the other one would I raise an eyebrow. Just like I would never, I never think that a teacher should have relations with an adult student that they have.
No.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm talking about, not underage. I think that is totally inappropriate, and it ought to be not only frowned on, but there really ought to be some legal issues involved.
Well, and, it's kind of common sense, or I'd say there probably would be some type of policy against it. that you don't go have smacks in the bathroom.
I think that's pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? That
but,
to me, that's misconduct. At least.
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. So if they are willing to engage in this kind of misconduct, and remember, Ben admitted it in his polygraph. He admitted to having sexual relations with his wife in the courthouse, in the bathroom. He admitted to drinking alcohol on the job while he worked at the jail. Even though he admitted to these things in his polygraph, and who gives this polygraph? Well, if I remember reading it correctly, it was the same people who do their training, like whenever they go on their academy training. If I read that correctly, that's who does the polygraphs. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that you can go in there and just admit to any of your crimes and admit to any of your misconducts? As long as you don't lie about them, that you will pass your polygraph and you are suitable for hire? Because that's what Mickey said in his deposition. He testified to it. He didn't even open the report. He didn't look at the questions and the answers. All he looked at was the cover page, which said Ben was suitable for hire.
That's right. But
who made that decision?
The thing that gets me is the polygraph has absolutely no value.
Well, it was just for it to be hired.
I know, but if people are not going to look at the answers and questions, they have no value.
Absolutely. I get it. I get what you're saying now. Yeah. Well, and he didn't know that. Who would know that loophole existed? It was people who sent him down there to take it, I guess. Somebody's had to say, this is how you pass your test. Don't lie. Tell the truth.
Well, I would have been afraid to tell the truth about what he had told the truth on. I mean, I'd be afraid they'd get me for something else. You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly. Who would be? That's what I'm saying. He didn't know just by osmosis that he could go down there and just confess to all this stuff and tell the truth and he'd get hired. He didn't know that.
Somebody had to tell him.
Somebody had to tell him.
Because I would never, and I'm not exactly a dummy or anything, but I would never suspect such a thing.
No, I'd never think that. Well, I can just tell the truth and they'll still hire me.
No matter what I did.
I would have backed out of the polygraph before I would have told the truth. It's confessed to something like that. And I think anybody probably would, unless they already knew what the trick was and how to get over on it.
And I'd say that they already knew what he was doing.
Well, if it was the state people, they probably didn't. But how many people do they have come in there and do that? I bet they have a whole lot of them. Because, we are human beings. We all make mistakes. We've all committed some kind of misconduct at some point in time, I'm sure.
I beg your pardon. I am beyond reproach or whatever.
You are, Mommy. You are. but now, I just don't know. I think I want to know who makes that decision. And if this has to be a very big, widespread problem because everybody's passing their tests. As long as you know that loophole's there and somebody gives you that little tip before you go take your test. You're going to pass it. All right. Let's see. What's everybody else thinking and saying? Bugman 22. Do you think these guys do this because the power corrupts them and they do it because they can? Or maybe just creeps who like schmecks with multiple ladies? Well, I think it's a bigger culture. This is what I was trying to get at earlier, and I kind of went off on a tangent. Birds of a feather flock together. You better believe it. Whenever a company or a job hires people, you've got your immediate coworkers there. And
I just already been hired to do something.
Well, he was working at the jail.
But what was the polygraph for?
I think that's when they hired him on at the sheriff's department for the security. Danny Webb started his hire. And if you remember, that was back when Alicia Congleton filed her civil lawsuit against Mickey because he had won the election. She had already been working there at the sheriff's department for several years, and she wanted to continue her job. Well, she didn't campaign for Mickey. She ended up campaigning for another man who was running for sheriff, another deputy. And when Mickey won, now the way that I heard it back then, and I don't know if I heard it correctly, but the way that I heard it back then was that anytime somebody new is elected into a position like that, it is their right to hire whoever they want in their as their subordinates or whatever. And they don't necessarily have to keep the people from the other administration. Now, at that time, you had people down there like Eugene Sloan. You had, I think you had the jailer Sloan, Bert Sloan. I think he was working. I think he was a school resource officer back then, but I'm not sure about that. And you had the other one that Alicia campaigned for, that principal. What was his name? I can't think of it.
Are you talking about the one that was the didn't that guy that had been a state police run?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of. The one we was talking about today.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. I
can't think of his name either. But so when Danny Webb was going out of office, now I've heard several things here recently about that time. And I heard that there was a big uproar about finances. There was a big mess about money. And I do remember they were trying to get the fiscal court to give them more money. And what Jim Ward, our old judge executive, came out and said was, absolutely not. We are not giving them no more money. If we give them this, it would just be like a second retirement, because most of those guys were retiring. You had Eugene Sloan who retired when Danny left office. You had, I think Bert resigned or ended up leaving, and then he ran for jailer. Mickey didn't keep Alicia. And
the guy that we can't remember his name, that was the
other guy. And so he ended up leaving too. And I think he retired.
He'd already retired from the
state police.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had all these people that were retiring. But the money was a big, big issue at that time. There was a lot of money that was missing. There was a lot of money that was just It was all commingled, and they weren't taking care of what they needed to take care of.
Well, they just didn't have good books.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't have the financing in a good place. They didn't have it to where you could track it. Like you have to be able, for these audits and stuff, these people have to be able to come in and look at the budget, look at your beginning budget, look at where all your money is, look at where it's going, what you've paid, what your expenses are. They have to be able to follow that stuff. And as we saw in the Letcher County audit for last year, they had $2 million put in miscellaneous. There's no documentation of that money. There's no telling where it went.
They usually have guidelines of what they can spend it on.
Yeah, but if you've got people who they don't have the experience and they don't have the knowledge of how to do that. Like I had absolutely no idea how to do any kind of budgeting or anything for nothing until I worked on writing that grant, that second grant. And I worked for a whole year with 2 other people, like 3 days a week, to at least 2 hours a day. And we went through, and they taught me so much writing that grant. And I also had to write the corresponding budget that went along with it for the entire next year of funding. And I learned so much. I learned the way that these independent contractors get taken advantage of real easy because they don't, most of us are used to getting hired, and then we listen to who hired us, right? We listen to our boss. Whatever our boss tells us to do, we do. Independent contract work is much different. You go by what's in that contract. And a lot of times, businesses or companies or nonprofits, especially if they are not funded, they have to hire contract labor because that's the only way that they can do it. In that contract, it will specifically state, usually, there is absolutely nothing to be taken as employer and employee relationship.
They can't even buy meals and stuff like that in some of those.
Well, and if you have 2 unrelated projects that you've got 2 completely separate bowls of funding for, so your money, and they're completely unrelated, you can't commingle that money. You can't, like if this project over here is going to go work with the community center and put on something. Well, you can't take $4,000 from this project over here to give to this person. You can't do that. That's it. It's illegal. It's a
Well, we don't know how theirs was set up, though.
No. I'm just talking about when you have unrelated projects in the capacity that, you've got money around. Just talking about budgets. And I'm talking in general. But that was something that I learned, and I had to learn it the hard way. Well, if you got somebody who's thrown into a position and they've never been taught and they've never had to have any kind of experience doing that, it's real easy to make a whole lot of mistakes. And
well, that woman that does all that had been there for a long time, though.
You mean down at the sheriff's department or where?
Yeah, at the sheriff's department.
Yeah, she's been there a long time.
So I'd figure she knew how.
Well, how come the audits keep coming up and the money's all jacked up?
Have we seen any of the audits?
We have seen the Letcher County fiscal court audit. But the sheriff's department and the jail have their own books. So we have to get, and they say that anybody can get a copy of it.
We need a copy.
So I want to get my hands on a copy of the Sheriff's Department financing budgets, whatever you call it. I don't even know what you call it. And the jails.
Well, their audits is what you want.
Well, I don't think that what we get from those actual departments is an audit, though. I think it's just a budget report. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So we'll have to just go see. Okay. Louis C. says Danny Webb got rid of 2 decorated officers and hired 2, including Ben and Eccles, all in the same month. And that was what we learned in the deposition when they asked Mickey if he had recommended Ben to Danny Webb. So it kind of looked to me like they were trying to get around stuff. Like, why didn't you just wait until you came in office and you hire him? Why get Danny Webb, or, do this recommendation, get Danny to hire him and kind of bring it in on the front end? Just didn't make much sense to me. But
well, probably he wanted to fire those people for some reason. I don't know what the reason is. It could have been good. I mean, I think that man was a good man.
Who?
Danny.
Oh, well, I don't know. I have no idea. LS.
And then he had to hire some because it was just, he had to hire some.
Mm-hmm. Mickey was so scared of being taken to the woods. Could there be more powerful people than the departed one? Well, you got to kind of look. Here you go. That's a good question. Is the kingpin still among us? Well, there's a whole lot of rugs and money. Let's look at this. I pulled up this attachment here, and let me blow it up. This was from the Attorney General's office, and I went on down. Now, this is the kind of pictures that they would take for the Sheriff's Department. Anything that they got, anything that they found, they would put this money out like this, flashy, and they would put a big post up on Facebook. Look at that. They put big posts up on Facebook. Look what we got. Look what we got. And I mean, this was a daily occurrence, y'all. Do you see all this stuff? Like I've told you several times what they like to brag about. This is their bragger stuff. And it's just one picture right after another.
Well, I saw lots of posts of the money and stuff and the drugs and all that.
Where's the evidence locker at? I mean, you're talking about, I'm surprised it hasn't been robbed.
Me too.
As much. That little Sheriff's Department, it used to be the water company, is where they had the water company in. It's just this little old building behind the courthouse. And, look at that. It's just unbelievable how much they were taken off of the streets, you guys. And I think it would be negligent if we didn't question all of this stuff. This is what they've posted on Facebook. These are all Facebook records, you guys. It's all been posted on Facebook. And I could just keep going and going and going and going. There's
well, it seems like there was a lot confiscated in the last 4 or 5 years for sure.
There's 15,000 pages of that attachment, if that tells you anything. And I think it's really important to follow the money. Follow the money. It has never let us down yet.
Well, they confiscated guns and stuff too.
Yes.
And of course, I'm one of those. Remember, I'm a tree hugger. So I'm always interested in guns and getting rid of them. So they could have sold those guns, and I bet that they could. I bet they did. I'm not saying they sold them to criminals, but they probably put them back on the street in some way.
Mm-hmm. Well, now here is the search warrant that they wrote for Ben.
They search warranted him, his house or his locker or what?
I think it was to get his phones and stuff, his messages. It says
yeah.
Affidavit for search warrant. And some of this is redacted. Said that she had a sexual relationship with Letcher County Deputy Ben Fields. Deputy Fields supervised blank while she was on house arrest. Acting on the information received, affiant conducted the following independent investigation. On February 8th, 2021, Detective Shannon Blevins with the Kentucky Office of the Attorney General and the affiant talked to blank, said that she had a sexual relationship with Letcher County Deputy Sheriff Ben Fields. Blank explained to me that the relationship between she and Deputy Fields began after she was released from jail and placed on house arrest on June 18th, 2021. Deputy Fields supervised her release by attaching an ankle monitor that monitors her location. Deputy Fields also worked for EKCS, which does the monitoring service for the ankle monitors. Blank was to report to Deputy Fields once a week to pay a monitoring fee or when she needed to deviate from her house arrest. She explained that a sexual relationship began and the Deputy Fields would then take off her ankle monitor and would waive the weekly fee. Blank believed that the relationship that they were having was the reason that she was not being monitored and was not required to pay the fee. Blank advised that she communicated with Deputy Fields through Facebook about the ankle monitor and their relationship. On February 14th, which would have been Valentine's Day, 22, Detective Blevins and I talked to Deputy Fields about his relationship with blank. Mr. Fields explained to me that they did have a sexual relationship while blank was under his supervision. He said that they did communicate through Facebook about the relationship and the ankle monitoring service. During the interview with Deputy Fields, he admitted to communicating with blank on Facebook. However, he did say that he has deleted those messages from his phone. Based on my investigation, Facebook will show conversations between blank and Deputy Fields that will show violations of KRS and further this investigation. On February 25th, I talked to blank about information she had regarding Ben Fields. Blank stated that in August of 21, she began talking to Mr. Fields, and in October of 21, she had a sexual relationship with Mr. Fields while she was on house arrest. Blank states that she had to have sex with Mr. Fields or he would have put her back in jail. She said that they communicated by phone and he would also text her. Blank provided me with Mr. Fields' cell phone number, which I verified by calling Mr. Fields and talking to him. Affiant has reasonable and probable cause to believe that grounds exist for the issuance of a search warrant based on the aforementioned facts. information and circumstances, and prays that a search warrant be issued, that the property be seized or any part thereof and brought before any court and or retained subject to order of said court. And then they've got a notary public, and then it's got Matt Easter's name on there.
I guess Mr. Pillersdorf can't never write a book, can he?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'd like to know what he knows.
I noticed. Yeah, I noticed that Judge Kraft's name is signed on a lot of this stuff. It makes me wonder: is Judge Kraft the one that signed the search warrant? Would he have signed it, or would that have been a different judge somewhere else? Wouldn't Judge Kraft be kind of conflicted? Or no? I don't know.
Well,
Search warrant and affidavit. I mean, I wouldn't want my name on nothing. I wouldn't want nowhere near any of it. You know, I would want somebody completely independent to come in and take over that kind of an investigation. Here's the supplementary report. Witnesses, it's got Michael Watts, Angela Trent. Here we go. Remember, I told you guys that in this new, in the depositions, they really kind of make it sound like Whitesburg, everybody in Whitesburg was sending all this stuff to the Attorney General's office trying to get them to come in and investigate Ben. And I said I didn't remember it that way. The way that I remembered reading this stuff was that Matt Easter contacted everybody in Whitesburg and was asking the questions. So let's read it and see. On June 7th, 22, Detective Easter contacted Letcher County Assistant County Commonwealth Attorney Michael Watts. Detective Easter asked him if he could get a copy of the warrant that Deputy Fields obtained, and that would have been on Sabrina when he filed for the escape warrant. Mr. Watts had victim advocate Katrina Jones emailed Detective Easter a copy of the warrant and citation that was used to serve the warrant. Mr. Watts said that Angela Trent from Letcher County Attorney's Office typed the warrant for Deputy Fields. After reviewing the warrant, it shows that it was generated on January 15th, 22, and charges Ms., and that would have been Sabrina, I'm pretty sure, with escape in the second degree. The warrant states that she was an offender being charged with or convicted of a felony, escaped from custody when the offender failed to report to the Letcher County Sheriff's Office as directed while placed on the home incarceration program. I don't understand why they didn't charge them with like false imprisonment and stuff like that. There were more charges, I think, that they could have been charged with, but I don't mean to be a hard ass. This is the warrant that Deputy Fields explained to Detective Easter in a prior interview that he obtained on, I guess that would have been Sabrina. Deputy Fields said in the interview he was trying to fix things and that he could not prove if she violated her house arrest because her monitor was not active. The interview was listed as Attachment 1, and the copy of the warrant and citation will be listed as Attachment 23. On June 8, 22, Detective Easter contacted the Pike County Detention Center and asked if they could email me a copy of the intake and release information when Ms., and I'm thinking it's Sabrina, was arrested. They sent Detective Easter a copy of the information that shows that she was booked in on January 26th, 22 and released on February 2nd, 22. It also shows she was charged with operating on suspended or revoked operator's license and driving motor vehicle using handheld mobile tail. I will attach the intake sheet. What was you going to say, Mom?
What's that mobile tail? What about her driving? What'd that mean?
I don't know. I'm not even sure. I don't
Was
even
she
know.
driving and using a phone?
I don't know. Driving motor vehicle using handheld mobile. Maybe. I don't know. But, you know, she said in one of these many things that we've listened to, she was afraid. She was scared to death to go back to Letcher County Jail and be under Angie's custody again. Ben's wife. Got to remember, Ben's wife worked at that jail. There were rumors that she had whooped a girl that had allegedly had a relationship with Ben while they were in custody in the jail. I mean, I don't know how you would even I don't know how anybody could even prove anything, because they're all gonna cover for each other.
Was
and
she
help
big
their
enough to whoop her? Was she big enough to give somebody a whooping?
Oh yeah, I think his wife is a big old. I mean, I don't think she's heavy, but I think she's a big girl. She ain't no tiny little thing.
I don't
and
figure
I'm
I
sure
could whoop. I don't figure I could whoop nobody. Never could.
Barry Engel. That was.
Yeah, that's who we was trying to think of.
See you later. That's right. So Barry Engel was the one. He was a retired state trooper who was working as a sheriff's deputy, and he ran for sheriff against Mickey. We actually, I've got a picture here, and I'll show you. One of our friends' daddies ran in that. Do you remember Starla's daddy?
Yeah, I thought
ran.
he was a creep.
Mom.
He stopped me. I was going down the road to go to Hemp Hill. And I was driving really, really slow because I was picking all the flowers. Well, he blue lighted me just right there before the Hemp Hill entrance. And so I turned on in and parked. And him and this guy got out and come down there yaddying at me for the longest time. Asked me if I'd been drinking.
What? He wasn't. I bet you it wasn't Starla's daddy, because Starla's daddy wasn't a deputy. He wasn't a policeman. He just ran for sheriff. And
No, he was in a car. Maybe I think he was a deputy at that time. That would have been before Mickey's first term.
Yeah, well, here, I'm getting ready to show you a picture here. We've got, let's see. Let's see here. Share screen. Give me a
Who we
sec.
gonna see?
Well,
Check them out.
these are the fellers who ran for sheriff.
This last time?
See? Can you see it?
Oh, yeah, there he is. There's Mickey. Oh, and over on the right is Barry Engel.
Yeah,
and in the middle,
he stopped you?
That one in the middle was one that stopped me. I remember it very vividly. Now, he just went on and on and on and on. And somebody came out of the Hemp Hill, down there at the community center. They were cooking pizza to help me out, to talk to him.
Oh, well, he wasn't a law enforcement officer of any kind. He just ran for sheriff. So
No,
if
he
was
was something
No, he
under Danny.
I don't think he was. Let's see. Does anybody know? Was D.L. Hammonds? That's his name. Was he any kind of deputy? Let's see. Harry says she was just picking flowers. Butterfly kisses sweet taters minding her own business and gets pulled over by somebody who ain't even a law dog. Louie, everyone here needs to go to the AG's office and camp out until they do their job.
Now, who's that? What's an AG?
That's the Attorney General's office.
Oh, I thought it was agriculture.
Yeah. Julie Cook says money seizures are done differently according to state laws. Yeah, well, there was a big article in the newspaper several years ago, but it was just one time. And they put this big article in there saying that the sheriff's department was getting a forfeiture decision. They had put it up into the court and asked for this money to come to the sheriff's department, I guess. But they got $30,000 of that one day. They got 30 grand. And that money was going to go to like new computers for the sheriff's department and stuff like that. I don't know. Those are the kinds of things. You know how much grant money has been pouring into this county for the last few years, specifically for substance abuse? You know how much money that Mommy told me the other day that the state of Kentucky was getting, what'd you say, 90 or $900 million?
900 million for substance abuse, but that would be more than Letcher County. It'd be all of Eastern Kentucky. So I don't know where it's going to go or what it's going to do or anything about it, but the money was finally released. It had been appropriated some time ago.
Who do you think, who do you think that they gets these contracts? Where does this money go? Who makes the decision when money does come in? Who makes the decision? Because whenever they got the opioid settlement money, it looks like Van Breeding and MCH. Well, I don't even think it was MCHC. I think he went as a Heal representative, which, remember, Heal is his nonprofit that he started several years ago, help end addiction for life or something like that.
Well, they'll probably open some rehabs, more rehabs around.
But they went to the fiscal court, or not the fiscal court. They went to the city council meetings, each one of them individually, and asked them for their money. Like Neon got a big chunk of money from that settlement. Whitesburg got a big chunk of that money. Jenkins got a big chunk of that money. And so I reckon, they go down there to these city council meetings and they said, hey, we want that. I don't know what they said, but I'm just kind of throwing this out there. Hey, we're going to help train you guys, and we're going to do this. We're going to work for y'all if you'll give us that money. And they put out a big newspaper article, said that Neon gave them their money. Whitesburg gave them their money. And I don't know who else has given them their money. But I don't think that that's necessarily the best way to use that money.
What do you mean they gave them their money?
They gave them their settlement money. They gave it to Heal. Instead of keeping it for the city of Neon, they gave him the money.
I got you.
And
Well,
then this organization is saying, well, we're going to teach you. We're going to help train you guys. Who are they going to be training? Because if we have learned anything, we've learned about how the training goes around here. There ain't no training. I mean,
well, it has to be
they
an
might give
ongoing
them a
base.
certificate and they might show up from 9 o'clock in the morning until whenever it's over. But I'd like to know how much actual training that they're going to give them. And is it going to be worth all that money?
Well, they established some little outpatient, kinds of places where they had a place down here where these guys stayed until that flood of 2022 took it out.
Now, that was an ARC facility, though.
Oh,
See?
well, wouldn't they get some of the money?
No, they gave it to the Heal organization.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And that's the one, I don't know how they're all involved and kind of, got their hands in they got their irons in a bunch of fires, if that makes any sense.
Well,
A whole bunch of irons and a whole bunch of different fires. And now here is, they had a picture. Oh, well, I won't put her up there. They had a picture of the Lexi Standball girl. And I think she is one of the most beautiful little old young women I've ever seen. But she doesn't work at the sheriff's department anymore. Miss Lexi don't. She was the one that Mickey made such a big deal out of, that he was going to make her the new canine officer when we got our canine dog. And so many people donated a ton of money and dog food and just all this stuff.
I wonder where the doggy is now.
Well, Mickey kept the dog instead of
Where
giving.
is it now?
I don't know. So here,
I asked him when he came and helped me unlock my car to get my doggy out. I asked him about when he said he was going to retire. I asked him about his doggy, and he said the doggy went with him when he retired.
well, yeah, he he took over the dog. I think that's funny.
Well,
And-
maybe he wanted him a good dog.
Maybe.
Everybody needs a good dog.
Maybe. Green lady left before they got here. So that was somebody that they were sending over a drug screen. And
Oh, Lordy.
I mean, there's a whole lot here that they had redacted.
They bring now down to the jail, they bring this van bus looking thing, and they bring doctors and nurses, and they check them out right there. Did you know that? I saw it down there, and I got out and questioned everybody what it was for, and they told me.
Well, so let's see.
Who
Now
was
here,
that?
That's James Norris. That was a big picture of, and there's a whole bunch. That must be, see, Billy Jones. That's our new sheriff. I have checks for James Norris, Seth Whitaker for the ball game last night. I'll bring them tomorrow for the picture. So they must have worked a ball game. And see, that was a question that we learned in Mickey's deposition. The Letcher County Sheriff's Department had a policy that any of the extra work, these like if they went and worked a ball game or did something like that, well, the policy of the sheriff's department was that any of those events would have to pay the sheriff's department, and then the sheriff's department would pay or reimburse the uh, deputy for their work. They didn't
Mhm.
even do that. Like they apparently didn't even know that they had a policy that said that. I mean, it just,
So
and
who did they pay? Did they pay the sheriff's department or did they pay the fellers directly?
no, they were paying them directly. Mickey said that he got paid directly from the hospital. And here's a message saying that they're paying Norris and Whitaker. But I was going to get back down there at that picture that we just saw. Great job, you all, as always. 29 rug cases and 27 sent to the lab today. Keep it up. I appreciate your hard work. So they sent 27 cases to the lab in one day. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying they really had a lot.
There you go.
They were really dealing with a ton of evidence that they were confiscating, a ton of stuff that they were confiscating out of people's cars, their house, whatever, wherever they were getting it from. Let me see if I can find that picture again. There's 15,000 photographs in here. So it's kind of hard to go through all this stuff.
That's a lot of drugs that they confiscated.
Yes. We're gonna say anything about, I don't know who that is, but what I was saying there earlier about birds of a feather flock together. So you see that a lot of these messages that we saw in the deposition, it seems like everybody that was working there kind of had the same sick sense of humor. You know, and they look at it as, hey, we're just blowing off steam.
They were sort of depraved.
They were. And, you know, and then try to justify it all like it was no big deal. Like doesn't everybody do this? No,
Well,
they don't.
I just think they were very disgusting people. I don't care if they're attorneys. I don't care if they're judges. I don't care if they're law officials or whatever they are. To victimize people like that is just disgusting. And it's nothing but victimization of people that you're supposed to be protecting. When you take somebody into custody, you are supposed to protect them from then forward, not degrade them and humiliate them.
That's right. Or take advantage of people. You know, when you have a position to where you can pretty much take advantage of whoever shows up underneath you. I mean, they pretty much were running their own little to kind of steal Ned's word, a brothel, their own personal brothels. Look there, when the AC goes out in your patrol car. I mean, it may not be 12 inches, but I mean, you know, come on. I know that, ha ha, funny, he. When you're about to eat Mexican food and you know somebody else will clean your ASS. Like, that's not even funny. Like, this stuff is not funny. And I guarantee you, the more we read and see, the more crude it's going to become.
Well,
and it's just sad. It's sad because these are the people that everybody puts up on these big pedestals, and, you know, they want to be their big buddies, and, you know, as long as they've got money or they hold a position of power, you know, people want to be their best friend.
Isn't that the truth?
It
If
is.
you know, even sometimes I have gotten that myself being a teacher, that people wanted to get up and close and be nicey to you. Nothing sexual, I don't think. And I don't know. I wouldn't know
Well,
if somebody was being sexual.
What's it say that this is what's always on your mind? Look at that picture, Mom. This is what's always on your mind. Like, this is what your law enforcement groups.
Well, those are sausages, and they're supposed to be, and so I think that they're making it like
yes,
pushed up penises.
Yes. Yep. Females swear they love seafood, but when I pull out this shrimp, it's a problem.
Oh my Lord, that's
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just, and I know these are like funny memes, ha ha, it's funny. I sure do not mean to sound like a big prude. I don't.
Well,
I
I
think it's
probably
very
am.
unprofessional. I think it's very unprofessional.
I might have went skinny dipping, but I think that's all just crude.
Oh, I don't know. Yes, look there. You a hater? I guess I'm a hater. I guess
Look there. What was that with the black man?
It was just a picture, a meme.
It wasn't a racial slur.
Oh, it didn't say anything on it. I've always got his back, and there's a picture that's Judge Jimmy Kraft's face. And then I don't know which one is on the back, but that's Judge Jimmy Kraft on driving the motorcycle is what it looks like. Doesn't it look like?
I always thought he was a nice guy too.
Doesn't that look like Judge Kraft, or is it?
No, I thought it was Mickey Stines.
No.
Well, what do I know?
I told him if he ever needed a ride to call me and gave him Lexi's number. You know, I don't know. It's really disappointing. It's really disappointing for me, you know, because
well, it just galls me.
And see, they sent a whole lot of these memes. This was one of their funny things, you know. They put their faces on these things, and they thought it was just really funny.
Well, they must not have had much to do.
That's what I'm saying. Is this what you had to do all day? Don't send a boy to do a woman's job. Well, I can tell you that I've not seen one female that's been hired as a law enforcement officer that wears makeup. I'll just say, none of them. Yeah, I got my own crib, girl.
They were very childish.
It was very immature. It was very childish. Absolutely. And nobody ever got in trouble, it doesn't seem like.
No, they're just, yeah. That's the thing, is nobody was held accountable for that stuff.
For nothing.
But you can't hold anybody accountable when you're doing it yourself and you were the boss man.
And that's basically what they're saying in that deposition, you know, in this lawsuit. Mickey was right. You know, it was his job as the boss to make sure that this stuff, you know,
did not happen.
Did not happen.
It's
Jackie
not
Paulson.
funny. It's not funny, and it should not have ever happened.
Nope, her Facebook photo looks pretty clean cut, but you never know about people. For real, she had that in the car. He couldn't get a total weight on it. It was Tupperware container full of math. Tell him great job, and we appreciate it. I told them I haven't ever heard of them. Yeah, I can't place them. Jackie Polson. I thought she's from Cumberland, I thought. Unless it's a different Jackie Polson. Even the chief of police wants to be a deputy. He looks like he's trying to be boss hog. I mean,
was that them or you?
No, that's what it says on there. Deputy Fields, 155.
Well, isn't that, that's that boy, I had him in school that was the chief of police of Whitesburg, wasn't it? He was a nice boy. I know he got caught sitting in that drive-through. He'd fallen asleep when he went to order his tacos or something.
He didn't get in no trouble either. James Wiley Craft took him in. It said on some...
well, he got reprimanded at least, and he knew that he wasn't supposed to do that. And I didn't see no more gossip on him. He really is a nice boy.
Yeah.
He's a man, but...
When Mickey Stines ran for sheriff, I voted for him. This is one of the speak your pieces, so somebody's took a picture of it. But when I try to call him now, one of his deputies answers the phone and tries to act like him. He needs to do something about his deputies. And so one of them, so I guess Ben, this must have been Ben's unless it was sent by, it was either sent by Ben or it was received by Ben. So they've read that in the newspaper and sent it to each other. Busted. That was the response to it, I guess. I got told today that someone called you and you said that you wasn't going to come up there and help them and asked me what I could do about it. LOL. And that was from Jason Eccles. And then James Norris sends a GIF. And I guess there's the GIF. I don't know, y'all. It just...
It's sad.
And, you know, we look then, so this is the kind of behavior that was going on. And this is just small stuff. You know, this is small potatoes. This ain't much here. Just childish. It's inappropriate. And stuff. But it shows you where they're the whole bunch of them. So if something did do something, there's Mickey. Nobody got in trouble for it. Nobody was held accountable for anything. And now we find ourselves here with poor Mickey. I mean, why are they sending pictures of each other all?
Because they're juveniles.
All sweet and ready for bed. They're at the creeper. I mean, it's like you're a bunch of friends. It's just like, this would be my friends group that I would have. I sure wouldn't be having this kind of a group with the people that I work with. I'd lose my job.
So would everybody else that I've ever worked for.
But they don't at the Neon City Police Department. They don't lose their job at the Jenkins City Police Department. They don't lose their job at the Whitesburg City Police Department. They don't lose their job at the Letcher County Sheriff's Department.
Well, I think they have a better ship down there, or a better thing there at Whitesburg. Tell you the truth.
Butterfly Kisses. Was any of them serious about their job? And in the meantime, they've got this much weight of rugs and money and pews. Like
I
they have a
wouldn't
very
have
serious-
trusted them with my bag of dog food.
That's my point. So you've got these very childish, immature people running these departments.
And
Nobody's
they have no
been held
respect for
accountable.
the community.
They can't track anything. You can't find the money. You can't find the rugs. You can't find if any's missing. You don't know how to track it to find out if anything's missing. You can't track it to see if anybody's taken anything. You can't. I mean, there's no way they don't have any kind of I don't even know what to call it. I'm just so baffled. Let's see. What's everybody else saying about this stuff? Do you all think that it's, inappropriate? LS. Ben was trained, or he said he was. The civil suit is against Stines for failing to train and supervise. He was doing the deeds after hours, no longer on bailiff duty. Well, Louie, everyone on here, ask yourself why Letcher County has no sheriff audit for 2020. Google it yourself. It's a good question. The ARC report for the region, not the local ARC, is here. Budget, congressional. We'll have to look at that. Tim Robinson and Russell Coleman will be able to take a good vacation. They might invite Michael Clark to sing a hymn.
I'll sing a hymn.
Mommy said she'll sing. William DeFord. They seized money using a federal law, and the Justice Department refunds 90% back to the sheriffs. And we did a show a couple months ago where we read the stuff on forfeiture, and I think it said like 10%. I don't remember what it was now, but it was something really low, like only 10% of departments even send in a forfeiture report. Well, if you don't have anybody that or any organization that is making sure that they're sending in these reports, then nobody cares. So you've got all of these departments, 90%? Let's just use that as an example, because I don't remember what the exact numbers were. So if you've only got 90% or 10% of the state, that's 10% of all the departments in the entire state of Kentucky who even turn in a report, that means you've got 90% of the departments not turning in a report, showing how much forfeiture that they have taken and kept for themselves. Now, the article that I remember reading, or the story that was a couple years ago about the Letcher County and the 30,000 forfeiture, that's the only one I've ever seen that was in the paper. I'm sure there probably have been more that I just didn't see, but that's the only one that I have ever seen. I don't remember them ever putting out any other even whispers or hints about forfeiture money. And they're always saying how broke the sheriff's department is. They're always saying how they need money. They need money. They need money. Always hitting the fiscal court up for it. And our judge executive now giving it to them every time they ask is what it seems like to me. Man, I don't think we knew how much Jim Ward did until he was out of office. I think he really did a whole lot that we weren't able to see. Yeah, my mama's a flower child. Absolutely. You never know what mommies are doing. She's just trying to pick flowers. LS, you can't even let your dog ride in a truck bed no more. But yet, we've got these Captain Americas down here. Just crazy. Whippoorwill. Law enforcement is the perfect venue for graft and corruption. Idle hands are the devil's playground.
Anybody saying anything good? I want to hear what these people got to say.
Me too. Christy says they had people too busy looking both ways to track the real crime. Virginia says, oh, accountability.
Well, you have to ask yourself if in all these small communities with police departments, are they all doing the same thing?
Looks like it to me.
Well, I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
This was acceptable behavior. And think about how much these guys change departments. How many of them have went from Neon to Jenkins to Elkhorn to Whitesburg to the Letcher County Sheriff's Department? And and you can mix and match that any way you want to go. Most of them have been at all different kinds. Why? And well, they say it's because they're getting a better paid job. That we don't have anybody applying. We don't have anybody applying for these jobs. Why is anybody going to apply for those jobs if they know they're not going to get them?
Well, the other thing is they want to be involved in that stuff, I wouldn't want to be involved in it, would you?
No way. Absolutely no way. But see, before, I think you had a whole lot of people that didn't think that they were doing anything really necessarily bad. I think that they thought this was acceptable behavior. If the
How many men and women on ankle monitors you reckon there are a month?
A whole lot. I'd
like to know.
Well, and you've got two different courts in Letcher County. You've got circuit court and you've got district court. This ankle monitor house arrest was a commission job. So it was a benefit to them the more people they could get on house arrest. He made more money the more people he hooked up. And it was kind of like his own little, I don't even know I keep thinking of this word and I don't even know what to call it. Like he had his own system set up where, these ankle monitors were on these women. I mean, it's like a human trafficking setup. He had complete and total power and domination over these women, influence. How many of you have sat down there in that Letcher County jail personally? Have you been arrested? Have you been handcuffed, put in the back of the police car, taken down to Letcher County Jail, strip searched, fingerprinted, given a uniform, and stuck in a cell with 20 other women and had to stay there and sleep that night, get up in the morning, and you ain't going nowhere. You're still stuck in that cell. I don't even know what kind of food they have down there, but I'm sure it's awful. So you eat a couple days. We learned through Sabrina that she wasn't even allowed to have a shower. She had some medical issues because they wouldn't let her take a bath, take a shower. You don't take a bath in jail. But their hygiene And a lot of times people in jail just don't take care of their own personal hygiene. So you're stuck in a cell. And most of these cells are just one great big open concrete block room with one toilet. So everybody that's in that one room, the 20 women that are all piled in there with mats on the floor, no bunks. Anytime you have to go number 1 or number 2, you're sitting on the toilet with no privacy whatsoever in front of women doing your business. Letcher County Jail is, and most of them are that way, but Letcher County Jail is a little bit worse than the average bear. And so if you really hadn't done anything wrong, and here they come with the handcuffs to take you back and put you in that jail, and that's your option. You either do the favor that Ben's wanting you to do, or you have to sit in there in that jail for however long. But if you'll just break over and give him 2 minutes, he'll let you can leave that jail today. That's a really bad position and choice to give people, because I guarantee you 95% of women can sit out here and say, oh, I'd never do it. Nope. I'd sit there but until I died.
Well, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Get yourself in that position, and all you want to do is get home to your kids. All you want to do is,
You want to get out.
sleep in your own bed. All you want to do is smoke a cigarette. All you want to do is just go home.
I mean,
Go home, because you are being forced into this position. You know how bad, and I'm talking about somebody who is in there not by their own accord,
Well, they got a habit. So many of these women were addicts of some sort. So the love of the drug was stronger than their love of self or their love of anything. So that just made them easy victims. I don't like going over there to that eye doctor and him sticking me in the eye with that needle. You know what I'm saying? Giving me that shot. But I know if I want to keep the sight in my left eye, I got to go over there and let him do that. And he's as gentle as he can possibly be. Well, those girls were in the same situation. It's just a different kind of scenario. They're addicts, and they just want to survive. And it's just a way to survive.
It is. Carol says it was his own little gravy train. And it was. The ones that he wasn't getting hoochie coochie off of, he was getting money off of for their fees. So either way it went, he was winning. Any way it went, he got what he wanted.
Well, I don't know who owns that device, that monitoring device, but they need to fire him and find another one.
Well, I guess it's at Patty Stockham. And I got somebody looked it up online last night and sent me all the stuff. And guess where she's from? Guess where that company's from? South Shore, Greenup.
Oh, that's where I'm from.
I know. That's where that company and Patty is from Greenup County. So she wasn't nowhere even close to here. And I thought it was also very interesting in Sabrina's deposition. She said that when she talked to Patty and told Patty whatever it was she told her, she said, well, you will never speak to Ben again. I was very confused about that interaction. And that wasn't what happened. Patty thought she had, allegedly, thought she had the power. It's her company. She's the one hired Ben. But that ain't how it went, of course. She's not around here. Ben's the one's here. He was the boss man.
They have more women on those monitors because I don't know why, except that the women was going to go, they thought the women, I don't know. Now that I think about it, I just don't know. Maybe the men are better able to withstand the time in jail than women.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a harsher punishment for women because, men don't care whether they take a bath or not, I don't think. But women would like to take a bath.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I knew this woman that was in that jail a lot. She's dead now. She was from up here in Hemp Hill. And she'd talk about the things that they'd do, and she'd tell me about this stuff. I wish I'd written some of it down because it was funny. They dug a hole in the wall, and so she got punished for not being able to have coffee. So they would pass her coffee through the wall from the other cell.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just wonderful stuff. I wish I had a record. I'd recorded that stuff. It was just terrific.
Well,
she'd always come and talk to me when I'd see her.
One of the names, you weren't on here whenever I read it, but one of your old workers' names popped up in here where Miss Jennifer.
Bless her little sweetheart. I love her.
And so, but her name came up from the lawyer asked Mickey if she had ever been to his house and to one of those poker parties that he had every week. And when he said no, she kind of went on past. So I haven't reached out to her.
Well, she might know something. She'd probably tell you if she could keep it confidential. Me and her communicate a lot, and she's doing really, really good.
A lot of people are once they got out of here. She don't live here no more, does she?
No, she went down to Hazard, so I think that was a gift. And she has a place down there. She's a lovely, lovely woman, and she is so sincere, and really she's real honest, and, well, I love her. Me and her spend a lot of time together.
Jessica says, in jail, you got community bloomers, and Lord only knows what they get washed in. I doubt it's Lysol. Well, now, if you all, we probably have a whole new set of viewers tonight. So, one feller who used to work at the Letcher County Jail contacted me a while back and told me that back when he worked there, he had worked at the jail, and it was under a different jailer back then. And he said that he went upstairs. It must have been when he first started there. And he went wherever he went to help let the women do their laundry. So he had a female prisoner, and he escorted her to the laundry. He said, we were standing there, and she went and put all the laundry in the washing machine or whatever she was doing. He said, and she walked over there where I was standing. There was a table there. He said, and she just dropped her drawers and bent over. And he said, I was mortified. He said, I was like, what are you doing? He was like, pull your britches up. And she was like, what? This is the laundry detail. And he said, not with me, it ain't. And he said she pulled up her breeches, and he said he took her back down to the cell, and he finished their laundry. He said, I would not leave her out. He said, and I never, ever, ever did that again. And I said, well, did you say anything to anybody? Did you talk? And he said, hell no. He said, I was terrified or scared. He said, who was I going to say anything to? He said, obviously, this is something that had already been going on. And he said, I didn't know who knew about it and who didn't know about it. He said, I was afraid I'd lose my job. So he just kept that bit of information.
Well, he would have lost his job.
Well, he never said anything. He said, and from then on, he said, I never brought any of them out to do laundry. He said, people wondered all the time why I was doing their laundry. He said, because he said, I wouldn't get myself back in a position like that again. And that's at the Letcher County Jail. And that was years and years and years ago. So,
Some of these,
we lost Mommy. Let's see if she comes back. It's just crazy, Jessica. 2 minutes is an over-exaggeration. Shame X. I'd have stage fright. It's just... Yes. One Mad Gina. A man passed away from bed bug bites in the Fulton County Jail in Georgia. 3 months. That man had been in there 3 months, and he was so neglected. And neglected is the only word you can use, because in a jail, I mean, you're at their mercy. But he had been there 3 months and passed away from bed bug bites and lice. They had eat him alive. Yep, a witness from the Young Thugs trial unalived from bed bug bites. I don't know if he was a witness in that trial, but there was a whole bunch of defendants in that case, that RICO case, and that's where they were being housed at. And that's a perfect example. Half of those defendants in that case, there was like 22 or 24 defendants in that RICO case. Half of them took plea deals at the very beginning of the case. And I'd say it was because they wanted out of that jail, and they were willing to do and say whatever they had to get out of there. When you are physically being held in an environment like that, you'll do whatever. You will do whatever you have to get out. And if they're saying, I only have to do this, and it's going to take me 2 minutes, and I can go home to my kids, I can go home to my mommy, I can go home and sleep in my own bed tonight, versus if I don't, because of my pride, well, honey, I think I'd be swallowing my pride. I'd be doing it. I'm not going to act like I ain't. I would. And I'm sure I would if it meant getting out of that jail. Evidently, Patty has no power. Well, and on those the records that they sent me yesterday, I looked, and Patty's like the only name on it. She's Patty Stockham. It's her show. Like, there's not a husband or anybody else named on that company. It's just Patty. And she created the company, if I remember correctly, like in 1987. It was way back when. So she must have started doing this house arrest stuff. And we'll say allegedly, because I don't know. But she must have been doing house arrest, ankle monitor work since it first started back then. Which really just brings more questions. Mickey, the whole time that Mickey did it, there was never a bank account. Like, how do you take up that much money and not have a bank account? How much money, if you're going to be saving that much money all month and then just hand it over in one big chunk every month, that's a lot of freaking money. Who's keeping track of it, or who kept track of it? And, you know, these are questions from, or they're questions about things that happened many, many, many years ago. So we're not really going to get the answers. Patty had her office in a 4-room brick house in Pike County, but 2018 she went to South Shore. Her home is a mansion. I bet it is. Women want to be home with their kids. They feel guilty if not. And everybody gets the jailhouse religion too when they go to jail. Everybody gets the crybabies. Everybody gets the poor, poor, pitiful me's, and it's not a fun time. You're not down there having like a sleepover, a slumber party. It's not a good time. It was more than a decade ago that my friend was in the car with 2 other guys who went behind the Columbia Steakhouse in Lexington, Kentucky, and bought rugs from the trunk of a Lexington police cruiser. I believe it. She was Patty Greer, then changed her name 2017 to Patty Stockham. Her lawyer dropped her the day after Mickey pew-pewed the judge. Good information. Thank you, Louie. I saw one of Sweet Tater's baby panthers. Hit that like button for us, y'all. Please get us up on our likes. They were sure poking more than her face. Shame, shame, shame. Maybe the men are too ashamed to say anything, just like men are abused. See, even those on the job, not involved, were afraid to speak up. They just don't want to be caught. How often is that? People only, most of the time, maybe, and I'm a skeptic. I can't help it. Most of the time, people aren't going to do the right thing. They just don't. A lot of these people were addicts too. They wanted out to get yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Letcher County Jail was actually, this is one of the things that the jailer likes to tout. Apparently Letcher County was the very first jail in the state of Kentucky that allowed mat treatment. That's what I did my thesis on, was the fact that my master's thesis was the fact that no jail in the state of Kentucky would allow anybody to continue their mat treatment. So if you were in treatment for 5 years and say you got arrested for child support or something stupid and you went to jail, they're not going to let you have your medicine. You're going to go without the whole time you're in there. And that's just been the way that it's been forever. And I tried really hard to get, look at me, use me as an example. Look what it can do. But eventually, later on, the jailer made Letcher County the first jail to allow mat treatment, which is a very big step. I'm very happy that he did that. But we should have been doing it a long time ago, a long time earlier. Whitesburg is the county seat. This is where all administrative duties are to be done. I think fiefdom is the word you were looking for. Lisa Rain. It's a good word. It's a good word. Christy. So when was Mickey in the deputy position of ankle monitors? The whole time he was a bailiff for Judge Mullins. Banking has really changed. It has. Everything's changed. Even the ankle monitors. Used to, they had a box and it had to plug into the landline. They had to have a landline at their home or they couldn't be on house arrest. But, I remember house arrest being like a big deal when it first started. Like it was really expensive. You had to have family who could afford to pay it. Usually the only people who got house arrest were, rich people. The poor people never did get it because they couldn't afford it. And that's what I remember when it first started, when it first really came out or became an option for people. But apparently that was the last thing it was. I mean, they were using it. They keep track of them. Ben was able to keep track of every one of them women. And he was in total power and control. He said whether they could leave their house and go anywhere or not. He's the one who gave them permission to cut the thing off themselves if they needed to. I mean, it's just, you can't make this stuff up. Did you notice Pillersdorf wouldn't mention Patty's name on video? Well, I've noticed a couple things about this. Ned Pillersdorf is the one who filed this case. He's the one who filed this civil lawsuit. Why is the jail not included in that lawsuit? Why? Because that's where they were taking up a whole lot of the money. People were going down there and paying Angie at the jail. They were going down there and paying Ben at the jail. How come? I mean, I hate to say this, but why wasn't Judge Mullins included in that? It was his chambers. It was his judge's chambers that Ben was taking it to. I know that doesn't make him like directly responsible, but in like a litigation, a civil lawsuit, and I'm no lawyer, but I just would think where just because it's his chambers and he would probably have the duty to keep it locked or something. I don't know. Maybe not. But I just think that there's more people that should be named in that civil lawsuit. But you got to remember, Ned lives here. This is his territory, Prestonsburg area, but still, he has to be an attorney here. And if I've learned anything over the years trying to get an attorney when I needed one, they don't have to take your case. They don't have to take your case at all. And a lot of them know that it's slim pickings. If you really need an attorney, they can pretty much name their price. How bad do you need it? How bad do you want it? How bad do you need a good attorney? If you're here in Whitesburg, if you're here in Letcher County and you get all jacked up on some big time charges, who do you want as your lawyer? Who are you trying to find to see if he'll take your case? Most people go to Daniel Dotson. Why? Well, he's one of the highest priced defense attorneys in this area. He's got real good relationship with the court system. And he can pretty much name his price. How bad do you want him to represent you? Patty's own attorney would not say East Kentucky Correctional Services. Did you notice that? Something is up. She made herself look like she was part of the prison system. I think it's going to bite her. Well, I think it's going to bite all of them. And you've got to make sure that your employees aren't doing these things. It's kind of your duty as an employer. So I can see why Mickey's named in this. I can. Mickey just didn't want to be bothered with any of this, and look how far it took him down. Well, and he said a lot of it he didn't, he didn't respond to, or he didn't read. Ben and Angie living high on the hog with others' money. I think Pillersdorf knows more. Oh, I'm sure he does. I would think the judge and all of them, the sheriff's department, the jail, the whole bunch. Ned is a really good attorney, but he's also lived here. He said it the other night in one of his, it was an interview that he did a while back, but I was just watching it last night. And he said that he had been a defense attorney in Eastern Kentucky for over 40 years. So he knows exactly how it goes. And, he's a really good attorney. He's good at what he does. But he also knows the way that it goes here. And he doesn't get himself in no trouble. You know what I mean? Like, he knows how to move. Nobody's going to inconvenience themselves or put themselves in any danger for anybody else. It's just the way it happens here. They'll throw you under the bus in a heartbeat as long as they can self-preservation. Mickey hired young boys who had no experience to sheriff for him because he was intimidated by the trained officers. Only one with training he made the echo. Well, I sent him all my stuff in an email several different times. I sent it all to him. He wouldn't even respond. So I saw his wife at one of our kids' events, one of our community events one day, and I thought, maybe I'll try to talk to her and see if maybe she can talk to him. Maybe she can help me, get a job down there. She wasn't trying to hear nothing I had to say. She did, but she's a real nice lady, don't get me wrong. She would just turn around and keep her head down, like people who are afraid to make eye contact because they're afraid you're going to ask them for something. No, that didn't get me nowhere. Does anyone know the scoop on the new opening song? It's really good. Would love to support the artist. Well, that's an AI song. So one of our viewers used AI to create it. And so we've got it now. And I'm going to go over to one of my friends who has a recording studio, and we're going to record that song. And now, if the AI version sounds better than mine, we'll keep it. But we're going to try. We're going to try to do our own intro video. Why do ducks have long feathers on their tails? To cover up their quack. Good job, Jess. Good job. Who and where is this third girl represented by another attorney? Well, I don't know if that would have been the Brianna Cornett. I don't know if she's the third one or not. There was mention of they've been mention of the third one. Ned has confirmed that there is a third female. But we don't necessarily know which one it is. Are there any good attorneys around there, or are they corrupt too? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I was never able to get any attorney around here. Ever. I had to go hire Ned. Y'all hit that like, subscribe, share, become a member, support the channel. Thank you, Jesus. You never got a job down there. Oh, yeah. I listen, somebody said one day, they were like, your anger over them not picking you is not becoming of you. I don't have any anger for not getting hired down there. Trust me, I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful. I can look back on it now and say, thank you, Jesus, because I do see how he protected me. I do see it. At the time, the rejection was awful. I didn't understand why they would, I couldn't get my foot in the door anywhere. And I was going out and paying a lot of money for a lot of certifications and degrees to for people to take me seriously. Nobody took me seriously before, so I thought, well, I'm going to go become qualified, so they will have to take me seriously. I put a whole lot of work into that. And then after I did all that work, it still didn't get me nowhere. It didn't do a damn thing. It didn't change nothing. And at that time, it hurt. It really, really hurt bad. And I ended up having to just drop it and let it go. And I had to move on to a completely different field. And I did. And I got a really good job, making 3 times what I would have been making down there. So trust me, I don't have no bad mojo about that. But I remember how bad that rejection felt. I remember trying to shake somebody's hand. I remember trying to shake Jamie Hatton's hand one time at the Spark rally. And he just kind of did his hand like that. And he wouldn't look me in the eye. He just kept, I was interviewing him actually. And every time I would try to say, I would talk to him, and I'd be looking him in the eye, and he'd look straight ahead. He just wouldn't, he was just real dismissive, and like I wasn't even worth his time, to speak to him. And, those kinds of things are just hard. Those are hard rejections. But we get rejected all the time. We're not always going to get the job. We're not always going to get picked. We're not always going to be on the winning team, but that's life. That's life. Every one of us have to go through that at some point in time. Well, one of the things, what my degree is actually in, my bachelor's degree is in criminal justice. My master's is in juvenile justice, policy, and leadership. It was one class away from being a corrections degree. So if I would have just taken one different class, I would have had a master's in corrections instead of the policy, justice, policy, and leadership. So I had a lot of classes that were related to policies and how important the policies and the procedures and the ethics The ethical part of the justice system is like the most important part, because without that, you can't move forward with anything else. But anyway, I'm glad, trust me, I'm glad I never got a job working down there. Very glad, because you don't know, you might end up, they could set you up. People who work in those places, I mean, they could really hurt you if they wanted to. And we don't know who all they've really hurt. We see what they did to Sabrina, Jennifer Hill, and a few of the others. And if the truth were known, it goes a lot further than this. It goes a lot worse than this. Like, why did Mickey go in that courthouse and pew Judge Mullins? Why? If he would have went ahead and went through this lawsuit, even if he would have got criminally charged with something, anything, he wasn't going to serve no time. Ben served 6 months at the most. I don't think Mickey was doing anything that Ben was doing, but I mean, I could be wrong. If Mickey would have just faced his consequences himself, he'd be on the lake down there in Tennessee today. He wouldn't be in Leslie County Jail. You know what I'm saying? There had to be a reason that he went in there and threw his entire life away. And it had to be something big. I just don't buy it that he went in there and did this because he lost his mind. He threw his entire life away. For what? We're going to find out eventually. I think it'll end up coming out. But I think that the only way this all comes out is if a few other people go down. And it just depends on how it, who comes forward. It doesn't look like we're going to have anybody really else come forward. Why would they? What incentive does anybody have to come forward? There's none. Absolutely zero that I see. I don't see anything that would be positive. I sure wouldn't come forward if it was me. My kids find out what I've done or what they made me do, or, you're not considered a victim. Mom would tell me, don't worry about them when they reject you. There are more fish in the ocean. That's right. That's right. I think that he thought his consequences would have been grave. Well, and the only thing that makes any sense to me would be that Mickey thought that Judge Mullins was going to be able to keep him, get him out of it and keep him clean, out of trouble. And I don't think that he could. I think this was spiraling out of control, out of their grasp. They were not able to contain it. And if the judge had done anything else, it would have looked like he was trying to contain it. He already did not want to recuse himself, but Ned pretty much forced him to. And he didn't have no other choice, is what it looks like to me anyway. If Mickey had not, the judge, he might have gotten 6 months suspended and 12 months of probation. Well, he wasn't even facing any criminal charges right now either. Mickey wasn't. Mickey was just named as in the civil suit for failing to train and supervise. That was it. They did not have Mickey named in any other faction other than that I know, that I see. He failed to train and supervise. That's it. But that's all that that's all they need. That's all they need. Melissa, Mickey was definitely afraid they were going to unalive him on the ride. Yeah. You need to read the sheriff's 2015 audit. It should have been investigated and someone went to jail. Well, I don't know how to get those. If anybody gets those, anything like that, see, that's what we need our diggers for. That's what my diggers do. They help me get these documents. Anybody that wants to help us get any of these public records requests with this information, please, by all means, help us out. hillbillycrime@gmail.com. Send me anything that you get. We will sure appreciate it. And share it. I was listening to Graham Fish before, and he was saying that Sabrina and Mickey were on Zoom when Ben had his deposition. Yep, it said it right there on the page. I wonder if that had anything to do with what Mickey did. That's a good question. That's a good question. He wasn't coming through for Mickey, and he could have been under threat to keep quiet, and the judge was washing his hands of him. I mean, we've got so many different options, so many different possibilities. Crystal, I've never been so excited for 30 degrees. Tomorrow is going to feel like a heat wave. Glitter. The town that I live in, they post the city's budget right on the city's website. Well, we're getting closer to the time. I don't know when the trial will be. They were said, I think the last hearing that they had for Mickey, they said that they were given 4 to 6 months for discovery to be completed. So I would say that his trial ain't going to be this year. I bet they'll delay it. That's one of the big things that they like to do in this county. They'll delay and delay and delay and delay until everybody's forgot about it, basically. Tony Rogers, I think Mickey peed the judge because the judge was guilty and he wasn't. I've thought about that too. You know, had Mickey been witnessing the judge do stuff all these years, and then now all of a sudden the judge is going to go away squeaky clean and not get in any trouble, but Mickey's getting ready to go down. That could be, I mean, that could be a possibility too. We just don't know. It's a good theory. Anyway, and that's all we're doing is coming up with theories until we know the truth. Butterfly kisses, we ain't forgetting this. No. But look at Ben's stuff. Patrick Little's stuff. I could go on and on and on and name a whole bunch of more people, cases that we've seen. And that's kind of the strategy that they use. They'll give them a big old bond at first, and then 2 weeks later, they'll give them another bond hearing, and then take their bond from $200,000 down to $100,000. And then when everybody shows up to say, no, we don't want this bond to be lowered, they'll say, okay, well, we're going to take it under advisement. Everybody gives their arguments. The judge says, well, I'm not going to make my decision today. I'm going to take it under advisement. I'll announce my decision in a couple days. Well, then Why do they do that? Think about it. That way they don't have to listen to a whole courtroom of mad people when they make the decision to let their buddy out on bond. You see what I mean? Ain't nobody in the courtroom to start fussing at them. They can make their decision 2 days from now and just put it out. And they don't have to answer to nobody. They don't have to look at nobody. They don't have to look them in the face. And it's not just here. They do that lots of places, I'd say. But that's one of the ways, that it's one of the processes that they do. Look at note 6 and 7 on it. I don't know which one. Anyway. All right, guys. We've been on here almost 2.5 hours. I'll go ahead and quit sharing that one. Thank you all, everybody who gets on here. Ellis, thank you for your super sticker, honey. Bless you, bless you, bless you. I could not keep doing this if it weren't for you guys. How many men, women on ankle monitors in 1 month? It's a good question, Miss Christy. Thank you for your super chat, Susie. I appreciate it so much. Can't do it without y'all's support. We will be on in the morning. I'm going to do just a quick victims impact statement. I think they did the sentencing for the trial that we were watching earlier today. They came back later and did like a victims impact and stuff. So we'll just finish that up in the morning sometime, and we will pick our next trial to watch. So if you would like to be a trial watcher with us, come be with us during the day. We watch trials during the day, and then in the evening, 7 o'clock is our usual time, but today I was a little bit late. But come see us at 7. And we've got our Patreon up, you guys. So anybody that wants to see any of these documents, they will be up with their corresponding case. I only have one up right now, but I will get busy getting the rest of them up. I'm putting the depositions up. I'm putting the interviews. Everything is going to go up on Patreon. So come and see us at our Patreon. All right, you guys, we are growing almost at 10,000. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, Girl Scout. Bye.